Welcome back to the Good Morning Kenya, and thank you for tuning in to breakfast show in the country. Now, and every 21st of March every year, the surveyor celebrate the global surveyor. They will be marking that day, and the theme of celebrations is development. No, let me get that again. Development, and in studio to help conversation is none other than Nelly Mbogwa, President, Institution of Surveyors of Program.
Thank you very much, Mike. I'm doing very well, thank you. Yes.
Now, when we talk about, it's a broad profession, but out there who hears about surveying is land. Maybe you unpack.
Yes, Mike, probably giving an introduction of myself, that I'm the Deputy Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, and the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya is big. It just doesn't have land surveyors. The institution, it's very, very broad. It in there, it has land surveyors, the ones who give you the beacons.
Yes.
It has the who assess the maintenance of the state of a building. It has the who do the collection of the rent, the management. They take a tenant and a landlord and keep the relationship in terms of collecting the rent, maintenance. It has the use management surveyors in it. It has themselves now. It has the estate agent. So it's in our institution we have 8 chapters. Price surveying. Yes.
Now we are talking path to sustainable development, and it is part of this year's celebrations. What inspired this theme?
Yeah, first of all, surveying is a very old profession. It started in the BC when the Egyptians create accurate boundaries, mostly for purposes, and thereafter it has developed into the. We have only one world, to make sure that we beacon it is in the best way to be able to So it has grown from tapes, or you'd use into a situation where you are now creating a lot of information to be used for planning purposes. Noting that we don't have more of land, we cannot create more land sustainably. And professional surveyors are people then interacting with land, the way I've said. They are dividing for how we are surveying, how we are valuing what we have right now, so that it can be useful for the future generation. So that is the reason why we sustainability, making sure that professionals is sustaining what we have. Well, can be utilized, and in simple terms, we are not misusing it.
When you talk about sustainable development, current pursuit of social, economic objective. Now, how do surveyors in this whole aspect of SDGs now?
Thank you, Mike. To map or to put in the land surveyors or the engineering surveying all define, restrict you, tell you this is where you can put this type of give you the definitions of the sizes where in planning of development, of documentation that we use. Navigation maps are used in databases for resources, yes. Mapping where our forest define it. There the people will define where the, so they are able to tell you where the road should pass for you, all those spaces before have taken place, and then the valuation take over. So because of the be able to they're in the development or in the economic development, before any title is subdivided, a surveyor has to come in and say, road, this is where we'll put our the smallest we can go, because they work with the planners to make sure this is the restrictions on a certain area. It's also, they're the ones to be able to adhere to the restrictions or planning regulations. But as I would say, the other surveyors now come, the estate agents will come in after the surveyor, the land surveyor has already put in the beacons and defined the ground should be utilized.
Matters land are very sensitive. You will agree that it has brought issues amongst communities and even families. When it comes to matters land, what do you need to learn, especially from surveyors?
First of all, Mike, they need to learn that expand, so we must utilize it very well. The way we survey that land to over subdivide it. You need to work with a registered surveyor so that you can be able to mark the benefit that you can get on your land. If an area is supposed to, if it's supposed to be an eighth of an acre, all into a quarter of an acre location, if we lower that, it has an impact on external use, where now the climate change issues come in. We may not be able to plant trees. If it is too small, we may not be able to maximize if we have an eighth launching is done, for instance. So a surveyor is able to, the common man, I mean the public, understand how to utilize their ground. Yes. And also
the title deeds sometimes can be what the exact land is.
Yes.
How do you ensuring that they are able to interpret title deeds?
Now, so the role of a surveyor, you know your extent, the extent. In some instances, you may find that your title, but on the ground there is a difference. Either the way maybe your neighbor moved your fence and closer to you, so he's left with a bigger piece of involve a land surveyor or involve utilize a surveyor. The surveyor is able to help you put back. Surveyors are actually used to help resolve boundaries and actually demonstrate to you your beacon. So we are able to resolve that. Your title reads, let's say an acre. Frankly, again, that's a role of a surveyor.
Yes.
Get the correct dimensions by use of the deed. Yes. So surveyors are no longer using tips and tools that are very, very accurate. Sizes on the ground.
And actually, that brings me to the place of innovations in as far as the sustainability is concerned. So talk about the kind of tech you are using to help in your profession as surveyors.
Thank you, Mike. The alloters We remember surveyors are the people. Actually, initially it used to be chains.
Yes.
They actually carried. Went to the tapes, and then we have now come to the graphical information systems. So they bring in a lot of accuracy. At a small gadget close to the points for you, and they're very, very accurate. Again, brings sustainability to the efficiency. It also brings in sustainability because then, disputes, because disputes consume people's money. So because of the equipment that we are using, the GIS, you are easily able to progress with your neighbor, or you're not in a situation where you develop, find it has been marked with an X, because it went beyond your boundary. You've seen even the National Construction marking roads, put up, and they come and put an X, meaning that you not probably use a surveyor to get the beacon right. That is marked, and you have to bring it down. You've wasted money, we have wasted cement. That's not. Is getting it right before you save money. You save a lot. It may look small, but cumulatively, it's a world.
So there is importance in the prowess or the experience of a...
Yes, I would say it cannot, the importance of using a licensed surveyor cannot be overemphasized. We must be able to use professionals to help our boundaries.
Yes.
We must use professionals valuation for that beacon has been played. The role of the other surveyors come in and they make a big difference. Public, do things. It's like extending your service and your professionalism to the land. Yes.
You've mentioned something about geographical information systems. How do they help work and in the efforts of achieving sustainability?
We add a little mic to it.
Yes.
In the efficiency.
Yes.
Because very broad. Sustainability, avoiding time, sustainability to a certain extent, because when the surveyor doesn't take, he can almost pick up his information very fast. Short time, he is able to give you very accurate of your land. All, if it is the public, if it is the government institutions, you are on a road, where to position a road in terms of there's a lot that GIS makes efficient for everybody, and that information is very easily available. And like where you need to type it, then utilizing it, it makes it very the aspect of improving on our.
And even as you talk about how survey is helping in achieving the SDG, is it important for us as a country to achieve development goals?
I will probably just. I will say there are SDGs, but concentrating on sustainability of land. Again, it's to the same point that we mentioned. Land is scarce. It's not. We cannot maximize on it. There is the issues of pollution, resource depletion. The surveyor, again, not just looking at the land survey, the role of an estate agent, the role of who recommends or who uses the right to manage a property, to clean a property.
Yeah.
A property and saves electricity, for instance. They are doing so. Not just the land surveyor aspect of surveyors or surveying to help us in sustaining our growth.
Yes.
For social equity, when the common man on their right to ownership, their rights in, you're able to tell them, this is your right. With this title, you can be able to, we can take a loan.
Yes.
All of those are able to help us in improving the economic.
Yes.
So, as land surveyors, there is so much that we do that can be. When you do surveying and do it right, you also help in the development of the country.
Yes.
So the great role to play in making our economy grow.
Yeah.
Again, maybe not to. You have begun with, you have divided the land well, help their house. The value comes in establishing, able to get a loan from a bank, progress it. You a high-rise block of apartment. The manager who comes and helps you collect rent on time, clean it. Again, there is economic growth and there is wrong land sustainability, but greater utilize those professionals to help manage the resources that we already critical resource, and that is land that never expands.
Yes.
Upwards, but will never probably have a bigger world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Asking me here.
Yes.
In large adjudication process, and what does that?
Now, thank you, Mike. Yes, we have a surveyor called Land and Administration Manager. Of a land administration manager is actually to and to ensure land that was not surveyed and given is given a title. We have a chunk of our country that is not adjudicated.
Yes.
So yes, we are involved in making sure that we'd call them communities. Some of it is adjudicated and people are given titles through which that is done. But that is the role of land and ministry. Yes.
So what is the process like? And I think he wants to understand the whole...
Now, the process of land adjudication, again, a little complex, but the survey, the aspect of either that land is in a certain way or by people in a group in a certain way. Using it for ranching, they may be using it for farming, mostly using it, but they don't have titles. But to a certain, either demarcated it, so you can either demarcations of the way they are using it, or we, administration surveyor, obviously this is a government initiative. I mean, it's not a private enterprise. It is a government process. So the government comes in, works with the local people, because how that use has been, to avoid any conflict. There can be instances where then that land is divided either equally by the use. And after that, if you have really, instances, there are very clear boundaries on how that land is. So then the titles are given that way equally. So very clear how it has been utilized, then it will also, more often than not, is about equity, to make sure that the people who have no voice are not left. To be fair, it has to be transparent, so that in the issuing of titling. Yes.
collaboration between surveyors, the government, and private sustainability that we are talking about?
They been the surveyor and a lot. If you talk about how it is managed,
Yes.
government needs assistance in terms of planning, and again surveyors can help map out or assist in paper the layouts, because remember this is the way the world, and we can arrange it this way. It's been planned. We want an area for industrial development. The person that interprets it on the ground is the relationship. Government cannot do without us all bringing to action, whether it's urban planning, agricultural planning, how the land is going to be used on the ground by a surveyor.
Now, talk about how often do you conduct land clinics at which you engage with the. Do you carry out these land clinics? The first global land survey day or clinic or day was started and since then every year on 21st we do conduct and the essence of land clinics is to bring our services public, to let them know the need. For instance, this year we our role in their lives evaluation in terms of selling a property. You want to consider when you are selling a property, whom should you that property? A registered estate agent who is by the different boards, because we also have very many. We have 3 boards work with us as an. So we tell you, how do you ensure that you're buying it? What do you look out for? You want to make sure there is you want to make sure that you have transacted within the land board. So we help the public know towards acquiring a property. We also know whom to work with when you're doing your surveying. Look out for so that you don't, there is for instance, if you don't know that that acre is not divided equally, we have the public utility, such as 10 acres, you might be asked to give a small section for us. How do we utilize those spaces? Then how do you sustain? If it's a building, you have a property manager helping you keep by proper management. Your rights as a tenant, your rights as. So there's a lot of interaction for the public, and this year we have, we're doing it in Nairobi, we're doing it in Meru, we're doing it in Vihiga. So there are 7 to the so that every person is able to get this service. Yes.
Yes.
About challenges that Kenyan surveyors face today in achieving the sustainability. But we'll do that.
波段的接收已经扩大到对打范围。
说把机器接了请传，请告诉伊文斯，应该见一面了。
Back to the viewpoint, we are talking about surveying the path development. And to continue with this conversation, talk about as face in as far as attaining concerned.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. Some of the challenges that we face, a lot of informal land transactions. You may find a title has progressed in quotes informally many times. So you find you may be, and in between there may be people who have no longer alive and or they are moved on. There is that informal also overriding property or land right. You could have land that has more than one right. Unclear boundaries, disputes, like I would mention. Indeed, court is established land issues or disputes, and that tells a court on its own dealing with that specific aspect. So you find if you're in a surveyor, you're dealing with. You have to look at the history and find out what issues there could be. This is a land mapping project, lack of finances for, progress as a country fully. I think that is and so we don't have the resources so that every part of our country is properly mapped. And so that has impact on, says it has impact on development. Very clear where the boundaries are for everyone in this country, then you can't just come in and progress in terms of development. That would hinder our achieving of our, yes.
Now, can those challenges indicate from a general perspective of if you are are they the same or they are different? There are other challenges that SDGs.
Yeah, I would say, Mike, the challenges are very different in different countries. For instance, progress in terms of mapping, so there are challenges. And for us, they are different also because of that we have on land.
Yes.
There are places where land fully owned by government.
Yes.
So it means the challenges will be different because there is no to your individual title. Yes, so the development government and you're given a section of it or you ask it, there are countries that do that. But in our case, by an individual, obviously, essentially, but you have a title to it, so you have every claim. Challenges would be very different in different countries, depending on. But I should say that as a country, we have made good progress. Region, we have made some good bit of work to be done, so that we ensure every part of our country that enables each of us to utilize our anxiety.
Yes.
You can develop any part of your land.
Now, surveying operations are also protected. How has the Surveyors Act in dispensing your duties as a surveyor?
Thank you. I would say that, again, as I mentioned about Surveyors Act, we have, I would say, Valuers Act, Estate Agents Act. We have 3 acts govern how we operate. And the role of those, the government-appointed boards, is to ensure the professional services are being offered in the right way. We professional service, owner license, and trained persons are able to provide service to the people in ensuring that we are professional. It has also helped us. We are also protected. For instance, if an estate did serve you, if you don't pay them, they can actually go to court, forced to pay them for the services they rendered. So the Act has protected the professional and also if you have any complaint against a surveyor, I mean a valuer, an estate agent, a land administration, raise a complaint. You can write a letter to Surveyors of Kenya. Will take it up and ensure that and we will also take it up with our boards. Will also raise it with action will be taken against that professional. So it protects profession and the public.
Yes.
And gives you the comfort that you're covered, even as you do your of surveying.
Yes. You operate within the right confines. How surveying helps or assists in risk reduction?
Yes, thank you, Mike. Disputes. Risk is that's a risk. So once clearly where your boundary is, the risk is used. Once the risk is also there, the role of a surveyor to come and clarify, sometimes through the land registrar, clarify that the act is here accurately. So again, are managed and reduced in terms of the, it comes to the developed built environment by ensuring that the properties are well maintained, if it's that the generators are taken care of on time. So then you manage risk on the bill. In terms of selling, you also manage the person you're acting for by that you don't find this title wasn't existing, a little bit of due diligence that ensures take the risk of buying the wrong property.
Yes. Helped the surveying profession in the to achieve sustainability.
When it comes to sustainability, it is
the place of research in
yes. The beauty or the advantage of continuous exercise, and you cannot stop or reduce, especially in surveying, because you are if it is a use of artificial intelligence, fail to investigate ways that you can. So for us, research is a continuous process. We research to around us or in the world. Where is the world in terms of use of information system, which the AL, for instance, how can it make? So we are constantly researching. In fact, as we review of the strategic plan for this season, we are ensuring that is actually embedded in a strategic plan to make sure it is very well researched, so that we can be able to everyone else, but also look ahead and see areas that we of offering our surveying services, how to with for instance you need to have done research and train yourself resources or the information to be a better surveyor, to offer value. Looking ahead, for instance, if you think of the if we probably may or not have been, you have to think ahead. What happens if you're a property manager, agent, and you're impacted by COVID? How do you still sustain yourself? How don't you close your, where are your source of income? So that comes in through research.
What role do you play in raising awareness of sustainability development goals within communities, creating a sense of participation?
Yes, I think some of the ways is basically like what we are doing this year. Clinics are important because then we are able to tell the common their role. We are able to take care of what we do and how we support them. So I think that one is obviously a continuous engagement with the public, forums through which we are able to interact with the public and be part of the sustainable development goals.
Do you think there is enough information surrounding this in the public, or they just hear it in such forums?
Mike, I would say, I think it's sustainability can be very complicated. It needs to be broken down. And I think there are, for instance, the role of the UN is to make it easier. Because you see, every profession has in terms of sustainability. So it does that.
Yes.
Yourself, you have a role to play in helping the public understand in terms of sustainability. In terms of a teacher, every farmer, somebody has a role to help us understand. Can we deal, or how can we participate? So it's a very broad aspect. We can only role of ensuring that in surveying and how we are interacting with the public, we let them know what in sustaining our environment.
In your own interacted with the public, how would you say we are fair development goals are concerned?
Thank you, Mike. I think people are they are aware.
Yes.
It may not be in the finer details, but I think we are conscious because if you notice the do simple things like throwing garbage in the streets, that has reduced. You can see the locations where, I mean, the issues of where we, people, for instance, take selected sections. So I think there is some progress made to deal with sustainability. I'm breaking it down to the common.
Now, how to make sure that climate-related hazards are addressed earlier from a perspective of a surveyor, to bringing this resilience, especially when it comes to especially in vulnerable communities?
Yes, thank you. Again, it is in giving the right, ensuring that protect our protected areas, for instance, forests, lands are protected, so that if you're asked to do surveying, you actually give your recommendation touch such locations. Or if it's an area with mines, then again you're able to give a professional opinion on the use. So I think the environment, protecting the ought to be protected in the forest, the wetlands, areas where waters, you know, where rivers pass by, our surveyor to ensure that those areas are protected.
Yes.
For the
There are tactics that surveyors use to monitor in the environment over time. That we are dealing with the aspect of climate change.
I would say that would be, to a certain extent, not our role, because it's not, our role is not climate change. I think that's a different sector altogether. It could only be building, if you're dealing with a building, the changes in the building go. But I think that's a different role for someone else who is on or monitoring how climate is being impacted.
Yes. So do the assessment of development in their impact on ecosystems and ecosystems and water resources?
Yes, we do. Now, some of the survey NEMA or impact assessment assessors, so we are able to assess the impact of development to an area. So to that extent, yes, we are give an informed opinion of a location would be. Yes.
So now let's come back to this year's Surveyors Day, which is tomorrow. So what for this year alone?
For this year, we would like to public understands our role as it relates to sustainability. We would also like to ensure that they participate in serving what we have. So our hope is that as many to be able to understand what do we do. Our estate agency, land administration, that we can, the beginning of when the title is being established to the end. The desire is that Kenyans can understand that they on a daily basis and that we need to protect more to deal with in the future. And for instance, Tuans do not, there are countries where you find agricultural piece of land and they have a small, a small area where they do their housing or their. If we can be able to take some of this advice, our agricultural 3-acre together, and take and put our houses there, there will be more to give more production as opposed to very small little land. Because to what extent will we divide that acre? Times can it be divided? So we must ask ourselves, what is the information we'd like to pass to our communities? It is 1 acre today. It's been divided into an eighth. What are we going to do to make sure we and we have a house? Is it the high time? Is it? Can you have your house here and your brother, 3 brothers have their houses above yourself? A lot of information that we need and discussion that we need.
How can Kenyans participate?
Thank you very much, Mike, and viewers. I would like to participate in joining in the locations I mentioned. Come and ask questions. Come and be in those centers where we are within the claim. A lot of information. So for us is to come and have a discussion. We are happy to help you with any issues of your titles, with any. If you're having any problem with the land, we'll give you professional advice.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for gracing our show.
Yes.
And the ways that surveyors are using to attain success. We have been talking to Nelly Mbugwa, who is of the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya on The View Wednesday. My name is Mike Migwi, and this is where Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for tuning in. Continue of your viewing. Good morning.